Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Secular Homeschool Revolution, the podcast for secular progressive homeschoolers who are reimagining education for their kids unapologetically. I am Ashley, and today we are going to talk about something I know homeschoolers love to be nosy about. What curriculum are you using this year? I don't just want to give you guys a giant list of books and programs, but I do want to kind of talk through why I chose what I chose. Because this year I do have a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and their homeschooling experiences, I think, look alike, but also look nothing alike. And I think that's kind of the point. I'm not trying to create like one perfect homeschool experience and that forces three completely different kids to fit in a certain box. I'm looking at each kid and I'm asking and I'm saying, like, what do you need academically? Where do you need more independence? What can I outsource, or what do I need to outsource? Where do you find your joy in learning? What haven't you experienced yet? And where do I want to gently push you outside of your comfort zone? So this is what made the cut for our homeschool year. And yes, when you hear all these activities, you might also realize that I have overbooked myself, and you might be a little overwhelmed, and that's okay because I'm a little overwhelmed too. It's because when I was looking at things, I was like, oh yeah, we definitely can make that fit. Oh yeah, that works. Ooh, this looks like a balanced schedule. But then when I put all three of them on my calendar, I don't know. It looks a little chaotic. And I may have shared this, but my husband does not enjoy sharing a calendar with me because I never got the whole color-coded thing down, right? I would just put stuff there, and I would put like the name and the person who has to be there. And he was like, no, blue for Langston, yellow for Parker, purple for Kari, whatever, right? And I wasn't doing any of that. And so he was like, look, ma'am, this isn't going to work. So I got ousted. But I think I'm going to pick up the skill this round because it's a little intense over here. So yeah, let's talk about my high schooler first. My 14-year-old's education has probably changed the most since she's attending a microschool. So yeah, it's the same microschool that I helped co-founded. So the way that worked was, you've heard my story. Our community started as a cottage co-op, and then we transitioned to a pretty good size co-op with like parents and kids. It's about 100 people that meet weekly. And then a lot of us didn't want to homeschool through high school or were intimidated. So we were like, yeah, let's add on a micro school. And we found some teachers who were comfortable and professionals in those content areas. And we started a micro school. And we use the same building our co-op meets at. And so that helps with cost of rentals and so on and so forth. So yeah, she attends micro school on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30, or no, 3. It's going to be 3 this year. So 9:30 or 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The schedule's changing, so I need to get my life together. So yeah, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. She'll be taking English 2, world history, geometry, and physics. And she also is signed up at our local community college, St. Philip's, which is an HBCU, to take speech and sociology online. I really wanted her to go in person, but I wasn't quite sure or comfortable with her going by herself. I really wish we could have got with some of her friends and aligned their schedules so that they could take classes at the same time and be dropped off. But hopefully that can work out next time. And so at this stage of homeschooling, it has really overall reinforced something for me, that homeschooling does not mean I personally have to teach everything. And that's important because I know on social media, homeschoolers have just been getting, crapped on about these mostly professional teachers who are like, I have my certifications, I have these degrees, I went to teacher school. And they're like, I don't even feel comfortable teaching all of the information, which is you speaking very loudly and very wrong in the fact that we don't think we can teach everything. And some of us go to PDs, professional development. Some of us watch hours and hours of YouTube University. And some of us actually outsource on things. And there are curriculums, yes, the same curriculums you teach at school. I don't purchase those because I'm in Texas and that is scary. Not great curriculums, but you can purchase them. And even a lot of the teacher curriculums now are scripted. We can read the same scripts as you. Am I saying your job is not valuable? No, but I'm saying I think you should do more research before you spout on the internet about things. But that's here nor there. Because I do realize I don't need to be her English teacher and her physics teacher and her geometry teacher and her academic advisor and her emotional support, because I just don't got it in me. Those are not my gifts. And so I'm looking forward to like outsourcing and finding people that I trust and respect and that actually meet my expectations. Because at this age, I actually do want her to learn from other adults. I want her to have deadlines that she takes seriously. Because if it's for me, she's like, oh, I know mom's going to give me extension, or mommy can be a little bit more relaxed, which I can be, right? I want her to navigate through different instructors. I want her developing some independence before college. Oh, and she's also going to do math tutoring because we're struggling there. That's a struggle area, and that's okay to acknowledge it and do something about it. It's not okay to say, hey, this is a weak subject area and then ignore it. That's harmful. There are lots of tutoring options, videos, softwares that I can offer practice. There's lots of YouTube videos that will actually go over the lesson. So use your resources, do your due diligence to find the things that you need to help your homeschooling journey. And also want you to remember that there's no prize at homeschool graduation for saying, I taught every subject. I also should get a degree to celebrate I taught every subject. You know, did you teach it well? Did you teach it well? That's all we need to ask. But also, and I signed her up for the National Association of Black Engineers Engineering Club. I don't know what that's going to look like, y'all. They meet like once a month. They're going to figure it out. She keeps saying she's interested in engineering. She just doesn't know which part of engineering she wants to do. And then she did that biomedical engineering camp this past summer that really excited her. So again, engineering, math, we need you to be strong there. So yeah, I was real easy to say yes to engineering club because I'm trying to be more intentional about connecting her academics to the things she's actually interested in, right? She's going to take physics at the Microschool, but I also want her building things and solving and meeting other kids interested in the same thing she's interested. And I also just want her to have another friend group. I think it's good to have different pockets of friend groups. I'm not a professional and can tell you the background of it, but I am a person who has multiple friend groups, and then that's okay. It diversifies yourself. It helps your social skills. And you just don't have to have, your engineering friends don't have to be interested in like your makeup. They may not like it, but then it's nice to have friends who are just into makeup, right? But if you can find a friend who's into makeup and engineering, that's even better. But it's okay to have different pockets of friends. And I also want like her to have that tangible experience of what STEM can look like outside of her class. And then she's also going to do fencing. She fenced before and loved it and actually was really good at it. But she decided to take a break and try musical theater. She liked it. She had a good experience with it, but she did not love it. She really liked the kids she hung out with, but just overall didn't love it. And I actually think that's what extracurriculars are for. Sometimes your kids try things to find their passion. And sometimes they try things and say, ooh, glad I did that. Never again. And I think both perspectives are useful. So in September, she's supposed to go back to fencing, and I hope she sticks with it because she did enjoy it. And also, I hear there are some really good fencing scholarships. And if you're a Black girl, some really good fencing scholarships. And y'all, I know I heard that part. I'm not trying to turn every hobby into a college strategy, but I have 3 kids and I didn't have the financial knowledge to plan to put all 3 of my kids through college. And college costs are so expensive. So if my kid enjoys something and there may eventually be a scholarship opportunity attached, then we're absolutely going to investigate that route. And really quickly, do I think college is like the indicator, the marker of, how successful you're going to be, or you have to have it to guarantee success? No. But I also feel like it's my obligation to make my kids prepared in whichever route they choose, whether it's entrepreneurship or trade or college, that they have the skills to succeed in whichever route they choose to go. My 10-year-old, I feel like this is our sweet spot year. My 10-year-old is still very much in that homeschool at home stage, and I feel like we have a nice mix this year. So we are going to do Hearth and Story for language arts, and Mint and Bloom U.S. history, and Math with Confidence, which has become a really solid fit for us. I did a whole episode about it. And I'm adding IXL as a practice. So our cooperative does these group buys. And so normally IXL is like $24, $25 with tax and some change, depending on where you live. And that's per month, or it's like $260 a year for us in Texas. And our co-op will buy, like, they're called like group buys. And so we only have to pay, I think, $50 or $60 for the year. And it's just like our co-op owns the classroom, and then everyone just splits the costs of it, and you get the licensing for the year. So it's really nice, and it saves us money. I appreciate it. So yeah, we're including IXL for some math practice. I don't think IXL is a full curriculum. I think it's great as a supplement, but a lot of people use it as a full curriculum. If that works for you, that works for you. But yeah, I've learned my lesson about turning one subject into like 17 resources. I don't want to do that anymore, because sometimes homeschoolers find something that isn't working perfectly and just go, I need a new curriculum. No, I think sometimes you just need a little practice and to like commit to doing like a full unit or a few more lessons before you fully make that decision. For science, we're going to do Real Science Odyssey Evolution. I had bought this last year, but my kid really wanted to do chemistry again. And so she feels fine. She wanted to go like through physics, and I told her no, because I have this evolution curriculum and we're going to do that. And so she skimmed through it and she told me, I guess. So I'm running with the I guess. I'm excited though, because it's a topic I want my kids to really understand. And my 5-year-old is going to join us for pieces of it. I don't feel like I need to offer him a completely separate science program, because he is 5, and I think he won't fully understand all of the concepts. He won't understand everything his sister understands, but he can listen and look at pictures and do experiments and just, ask completely random, unrelated questions halfway through. We'll be talking about evolution. He'll want to tell me if I knew about which Power Ranger beat the Megatros. I don't know if Megatros is one, but something random. And we're also going to add Simply Piano for both of them, for my 10 and 5-year-old. Listen, piano has been a pain in my arse. Okay, so my mom came across this really great deal for an electric piano. Like it was something like, it was like a $1,500 electric piano, and I think she ended up only paying $200. because it was like at a clearance bargain store. Everything worked. Everything was attached. Great. And she's been on my butt about find them kids lessons. I'll pay for their lessons. Find them kid lessons. So I have been trying. So one person, we chatted and they were advertising in a homeschool group and they do in-home lessons. So I was like, oh, great. You can travel to my house. It's one less thing I have to do. She's like, yeah. So she's supposed to come at like 2:00. 2:00 comes, no show. 2:15 comes, no show. 2:30, I'm like, hey, just checking in, following up, blah, 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 blah. And I'm checking the message to make sure I'm not losing my marbles. Like this is the wrong day and time. And I was right. It was the right day and time. The person read the message and did not respond. Then we went to another person who had piano lessons offered in their house, which was not a big deal because it was just a few minutes down the road from my son's swimming classes. So we go and do the trial lessons and she's like, yeah, seems like a great fit. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I get home and I reassure for next week, the following week. And then I ask her, like, are you wanting to take payment per lesson, or do you want to do like an invoice style where I pay it up front? And she's like, good question. I'll get back to you. Never got back to me. She didn't want my monies. And then the third person, same thing. Oh yeah, we can meet at the studio. I'm trying to start homeschool lessons, blah, blah, blah. I have a few people interested, blah, blah, blah. Great. And then we do the trial stuff and then don't hear back from them at all. And then there's like a post in the local Facebook group saying due to low interest in enrollment. But I don't even know if you really know that's true because you weren't getting back to people. So anyway, we have now landed on the app, Simply Piano, and I will let you guys know how it goes. It has musicals and theme songs. It has everything my son cares about, Pokemon and Power Rangers on there, and you can learn the songs. And I like having it at home without having to like turn it into another place we have to drive. And then we can practice at home, build a skill and explore whatever, whether piano becomes something they actually enjoy. So we're also doing glitter bomb art. I had been wanting to try it. It is a little pricey. I think it's like $37, $36 a month. And they only open up the registration for the 1st of August. And I got the reminder and I signed up. I downloaded a bunch of lessons. They look pretty cool, the PDFs. So they have like the project and then you have like a video lesson and they have the PDF lesson that you can download. That seems cool. So one thing that has not changed about me in our homeschooling is like every Monday. And I know Mondays get a bad rap, but we start with art and creativity just to set the flow off right. And so I'm excited that everything will be in a one-stop shop place where we can download it. I can, send the videos to play on my TV and we all can learn and do. I also always participate in our art lessons just because I really love art. And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably noticed I don't post a lot on my Instagram. I don't post a lot on any social media, but I will post on my stories, usually on Mondays, like art lessons that we're doing. So like we did, not this week, I didn't post. Last week we did Matisse. And so it was just in my stories. And I feel like it's intentional with starting with art. I like Mondays just to have creative energy before we get too deep into like writing and math and history and just all the things. Let's make something. And I don't want creativity to be treated like a reward. Like after you finish all these important subjects, then you get a treat of art. I feel like it's one of the most important subjects our kids can learn. And getting back to my 10-year-old, she does have mandatory independent reading built into her day and her daily chores. Because, y'all, I'm trying to educate a whole human here, and I love the responsibility chores teaches. So yeah. Her independent reading time sometimes is in her room or laying on the back porch on the chairs or listening to a book, but It's also, it looks like her reading in the car from, in between places to go here and there, but the reading has to get done. And for 10, her chores, I feel like they're pretty decent. So she's responsible for her own laundry, like putting them in the washing machine, sorting them, putting them in the dryer, folding them. She's responsible for taking out the trash upstairs and cleaning and tidying her room. And that includes cleaning her mirrors and vacuuming. She has a checklist of what things need to get done. And what else does she have to do? And then wipe down the table. That is pretty much the extent of her chores. Because I feel like if you can understand some U.S. history, you can also unload she has to unload the dishwasher. And I think both will serve her well in her adulthood. Also, there are her activities. And so we're still on the 10-year-old. So every year we ask them, or every semester, like, what's an extracurricular you want to dive into? And last semester, like in January, she said horseback riding. She did horseback riding throughout the summer, and she will be doing it again this fall. So that was a good choice. And then the choice she's not excited about is softball. She's just not convinced she's going to enjoy it or like it. And she's also never played softball. And y'all, this is where my philosophy around activities comes in, because I see part of my job as a parent to expose and offer. I don't expect my kids to automatically know everything that they're interested in. I still don't know everything I'm interested in. And I feel like sometimes they need exposure first. So try a sport, try an instrument, try theater, try engineering, try art. You may love it. You may hate it. But at least now you are able to form you're able to form an informed opinion from the experience. And I also think that there's growth in learning to be uncomfortable for a minute. Being a beginner is almost always uncomfortable, and not knowing the rules is always uncomfortable. But, then you got to add on the whole other layer of like walking into a new team where you don't know anybody. That is very uncomfortable. And I don't want my kids to learn that if this feels uncomfortable, that automatically means I shouldn't do it. So she's going to try softball. And if she gives it a real chance and at the end says, Mom, respectfully, never again, don't think about signing me up ever again. Okay, fine. Never again. But now you know. And our co-op also partners with Girls Inc. And so she'll be participating in the Girls Inc. programming this year. And that's another thing I really value, because using community resources instead of believing I have to personally create every experience my kids need isn't necessary, and to lean on the community and village and resources and actually use them. Last but not least, my little 5-year-old, my papito bonito. His is real simple. His curriculum list is short. We finished the 100 lessons of reading, teach your kid to read in 100 lessons. And I don't feel like he has the skills I'm comfortable with, or he's not at the point where I'm like, oh, you're a reader. So maybe I did something wrong. It worked well with my middle kid. I heard some really great reviews from a couple of parents in our co-op who did Logic of English. So we are going to transition him into Logic of English, and we're going to start with Foundations A, and we're going to stick with Math with Confidence, and he's going to sit in and listen into the evolution science curriculum. Do I expect him to know everything and to understand the content the same way his sister does? No. But I don't think there's harm in him listening and participating in the experiments. He will also be participating in using the Glitterbomb Art and Sipley Piano app. And me and him read every day together. And he also has chores. So he's responsible for making up his bed, making sure his clothes are in his hamper. He has to bring his hamper downstairs and load his clothes in the washing machine when it's empty. We glue him in. And he also has to help me fold his clothes, and he's responsible for putting them up. And he has to unload the silverware from the dishwasher. And I feel like, and that's plenty because he is just 5 years old. And I don't feel the need to make kindergarten academically impressive. And I really need him building strong foundations like learning to read and developing number sense and making things and moving his body and listening to stories and just being curious and just having a whole lot of time to play. I feel like sometimes homeschoolers they can become so excited about all the resources available that we accidentally create like a tiny graduate program for like a pre-K, kindergarten, first grader. Y'all know they're 5. It's good. We're good. We're doing the best that we can. And he's also continuing swimming, which he loves, which is on Tuesday mornings, and he's trying T-ball. Again, the plan is to expose and offer. Let's see what you like. Let's see what you don't. But nobody needs to choose their lifelong extracurriculars at 5. We're dabbling. We're dabbling in the interest at this point. What I like about this year's plan. When I put everything together, I actually feel really good about the overall balance. Is it a lot of here and there's? Yeah, but I like all of the experiences and exposures my kids will have. My oldest has more independence. She has outside teachers, dual credit, tutoring, and opportunities, that are connected to her interests. I feel like that's checks a lot of boxes for us. My 10-year-old has a really traditional homeschool curriculum with art and music, community programs, and some extracurricular exploration. And my 5-year-old gets strong foundational academics without me overschooling him. And nobody's doing exactly the same thing or is going to approach it the exact same way because nobody needs to. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of homeschooling. I don't have to ask, like, what should a 9th grader do? What should a 5th grader do? I can ask, like, what does my kid need right now? My kid, what do they need? And I think that changes the entire conversation. And I know I just threw a lot of curriculum and activities at y'all. And some of y'all are thinking like, Ashley, how is this actually going to fit into your week? And while we're doing a mostly 4-day academic rhythm with co-op on Wednesdays, for my younger 2, focus academics are generally around 2 to 3 hours and not an all-day school situation. And Fridays are really flexible because our co-op offers field trips and meetups several times a month, and usually they're on Fridays, so I can look and see what they're offering and see how I can make my Fridays stay flexible. Because I have curriculum planned on Fridays, but I also like to really prioritize field trips and experiences. So for instance, we have a sound bath science day coming up that I'm really excited about. I love the mom that's leading it and her background with it, and I cannot wait to tell y'all how that goes. So instead of spending the next 10 minutes verbally explaining to you guys what happens on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm going to show you. So I'll be posting my kids like weekly calendar on my Instagram, Secular Homeschool Revolution, and you'll be able to see how I've planned out their week with curriculum, co-op, Girls Inc., piano, reading, chores, swimming, horseback riding, and just everything else that fits into the week, because I feel like if you see it visually, it'll make more sense. And most importantly, you'll see that we're not doing everything every day, and that's how it's manageable. So these are our curriculum and activity picks for the year. And I think my biggest theme is probably for 2026, 2027 is use what serves the kid. Outsource when it makes sense. Choose curriculum because it fits your family and not because the internet told you it's the homeschool curriculum everybody is supposed to own. Give your kids opportunities to discover what they enjoy, and don't be afraid to let them try something they may eventually decide they hate, because that's information too. They're learning something about themselves, and we can't rob them of that, or we shouldn't be robbing them of that. And I'm excited to see what sticks this year. Maybe softball will become a surprise favorite. Maybe piano is an actual thing. Maybe t-ball will only last one season. Maybe fencing becomes my college scholarship master plan. We don't know yet, but it's part of the fun. And if you want to see exactly how I'm organizing this, head over to my Instagram at Secular Homeschool Revolution, and I'll have the kids' weekly calendars there that I created. And I just found a template on Canva and then just kind of customized it and filled in a one for each of my kids. So come tell me what made the cut in your homeschool this year. What curriculum are you excited about? What curriculum did you drop and wasn't working? What random extracurricular did your kids somehow convince you to sign them up for? Because apparently over here we're choosing sports. And I never wanted to be a Saturday early up at the butt crack of dawn sports parent. But I'm choosing to be uncomfortable so that my kids can grow. If you enjoyed this episode of please follow the Secular Homeschool Revolution wherever you listen to podcasts. Share it with another homeschooling parent or group who you think could, benefit from listening to this podcast. I'm Ashley. I want you to keep questioning what education looks like, keep building what works for your actual kids, and stay being a part of the revolution. Until next time.